There was once a young man named Daniel. He lived in a small town where everyone knew each other, and life was simple. But Daniel had a big dream. He wanted to speak English fluently. He believed that English could open new doors for him, better jobs, travel, confidence, and a new world of opportunity. Every night, he imagined himself speaking confidently with people from around the world. But when he tried, his tongue froze, his heart beat faster, and the words came out broken. Have you ever felt like that? When you really want something, but fear or failure holds you back. That was Daniel every day. He would wake up early, open his old grammar book, and practice speaking in front of the mirror. Hello, my name is Daniel. I am learning English. He said it again and again. But when he tried to talk to real people, they smiled politely and sometimes even laughed. He felt embarrassed. One day, after a failed attempt to talk to a tourist, Daniel went home and whispered to himself, "Maybe English is not for me." But deep inside, a small voice said, "Don't give up. Let's say that together. Don't give up." Say it louder. Don't give up. That phrase became Daniel's secret power. One morning, while walking to work, Daniel saw a poster near the bus stop. It said, "Free English Conversation Club every Saturday." His first thought was, "No way, I can't do that." But the next line caught his eye. "Mistakes are proof you are trying." That line touched his heart. He decided to go. On Saturday, Daniel arrived at the community hall. His hands were shaking and his voice was trembling, but he smiled and said, "Hello, my name is Daniel." The group clapped and welcomed him warmly. That simple welcome gave him courage. He met a girl named Sarah there. She was from his town too, and she was also learning English. Sarah told him, "I used to be scared just like you, but every time I make a mistake, I learn something new." Her words became another lesson for Daniel. He realized that mistakes were not failures. They were teachers. Let's repeat that. Mistakes are teachers. Yes, mistakes teach you what to improve. Every Saturday, Daniel practiced with the group. He made grammar mistakes, pronunciation mistakes, and even forgot simple words. But he kept going. Every time he stumbled, someone encouraged him. "You can do it, Daniel." And little by little, something beautiful happened. His confidence grew. His sentences became longer. His vocabulary became richer. He started using new words like challenge, progress, and confidence. Now let's learn a few of those words together. Say after me, challenge, a difficult task that tests you. Progress, the improvement you make step by step. Confidence, the belief that you can do something. Very good. Daniel's English journey wasn't fast. Sometimes he felt stuck. Sometimes he felt like he was walking in circles. But he remembered his promise. Never give up. One evening, when he returned home after a long day, he saw his younger sister crying over her homework. She said, "I can't do this, it's too hard." Daniel smiled and said, "Do you know what I learned today? Nothing is too hard if you keep trying." She looked at him and asked, "Did you always speak English this well?" Daniel laughed. "No, I used to be scared to say even one word." That night, Daniel realized something powerful. Learning English wasn't just about language. It was about courage, patience, and self-belief. It was about changing the way he saw himself. Now let's practice speaking with confidence. Repeat after me. I am learning English. I make mistakes, but I am improving. I will not give up. Excellent. Daniel's progress inspired others. His friends noticed how he spoke more clearly and confidently. One of them asked, "Daniel, how did you do it?" He replied, "By showing up every day, even when I didn't feel ready." You see, success doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in many small steps. Every word you learn, every sentence you practice, every time you repeat, that's progress. Let me tell you something, my friend. Learning English is not about being perfect. It's about communicating. It's about expressing your ideas and feelings. When you learn English, you open your heart to the world. And when you speak, don't worry about accent or grammar too much. Focus on sharing your message. So let's practice some motivational sentences together. Repeat them slowly and clearly. I am capable of learning anything. I will keep moving forward. My effort today will become my success tomorrow. Well done. Weeks passed, then months. Daniel's English improved more than he ever imagined. He could now watch English movies without subtitles, read short stories, and even help other beginners in the club. But one day, his teacher gave him a challenge. a local speech competition. The topic was Never Give Up. When he read the title, he smiled. It was his life story. He practiced for days, writing and rewriting his speech. He practiced pronunciation, tone, and pauses. Sometimes he felt nervous again, but he remembered his favorite line, "Mistakes are proof you are trying." The big day arrived. The hall was full of people. Daniel's name was called. He took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. For a moment, the fear came back. His hands were cold, his heart raced. But then he looked at the audience and remembered why he started. He began his speech. "My name is Daniel," he said. 2 years ago, I could not say even this sentence without fear. But today, I am here to tell you, never give up. The crowd listened quietly. Every word came from his heart. When he finished, everyone stood up and clapped. Daniel had tears in his eyes. Not because he had won a trophy, but because he had defeated his fear. That night, he wrote in his journal, "Success is not about being the best. It's about being better than yesterday." And that's true for you, too. Every time you listen, speak, and practice English, you are getting better. Now repeat this last line of Section 1 with me. I will keep learning. I will keep growing. I will never give up. After the speech competition, Daniel's life began to change in small but meaningful ways. People in his town started calling him the boy who never gave up. He was no longer just Daniel, the shy learner. He was Daniel the dreamer, Daniel the doer. His story spread like sunlight through the small streets of his village. And whenever people faced difficulties, they thought about him and found hope. One day, his teacher, Mr. Lewis, asked him to help new students in the English Conversation Club. At first, Daniel hesitated. He thought, me? A teacher? No, I'm not good enough. But Mr. Lewis smiled and said, "The best teacher is the one who once struggled like their students." Those words stayed in Daniel's heart. He started helping beginners every Saturday. He shared his story, corrected their pronunciation gently, and told them the same thing Sarah once told him. Mistakes are teachers. Some of his students were too shy to speak, so Daniel made a fun rule. Everyone had to say at least one English sentence in every meeting. Even if it was short or wrong, say something. He would laugh. Even a small step is still a step. The group began to feel more confident. They laughed at their mistakes, supported each other, and celebrated every little victory. One girl named Lena said, "Before joining this club, I couldn't even introduce myself in English. But now I can have small conversations." Daniel smiled proudly and replied, "That's because you didn't give up. Let's repeat that together, because you didn't give up." Yes, every success story begins with that choice, to keep going even when things are hard. Daniel realized that teaching others helped him learn faster too. Every time he explained something, his own understanding became clearer. He discovered new words like inspire, encourage, and motivate. Let's learn these words together. Inspire, to make someone feel they can do something great. Encourage, to give someone hope and support. Motivate, to give a reason or energy to keep going. Now repeat them. Inspire, encourage, motivate. Excellent. Months passed and Daniel's confidence continued to grow. He started watching English interviews online and reading English blogs. Sometimes he didn't understand every word, but he didn't stop. He wrote new words in a notebook, looked them up later, and practiced using them in sentences. Do you keep a vocabulary notebook? If not, you should. It's one of the best habits for learning English. Write down every new word you hear or read. Next to it, write a short example sentence. That's what Daniel did. Every day he learned 5 new words. For example, one day he learned determination, patience, journey, goal, achievement. He repeated them slowly. Determination, patience, journey, goal, achievement. Let's practice together. I have determination. I have patience. My English journey is my goal. I will celebrate my achievements. Very good. One evening, while practicing English online, Daniel met a woman from another country named Emma. She was from Canada and was teaching English to learners around the world. They started chatting through messages and soon through video calls. Emma spoke clearly, kindly, and always encouraged him. She said, "Daniel, your English is improving because you believe in yourself. He told her about his small town and how people rarely got a chance to speak English. Emma said, "Then you must become the bridge, help others cross it." Those words lit a fire inside him. From that day, Daniel decided to create something special, an English learning group online for his town's youth. He called it the Never Give Up English Club. Every week he shared stories, pronunciation tips, and motivational quotes. He told his students, "Don't worry about being perfect. Just be brave." In the first session, only 5 people joined, but Daniel spoke with energy and heart. He said, "You may not believe in yourself yet, but I believe in you. You can learn English if you just keep going." By the next month, 20 people joined, then 50. The small idea became a movement of learners helping each other. They shared recordings, voice messages, and even funny tongue twisters. Let's try one of their favorite tongue twisters. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Try to say it 3 times fast. It's okay if you laugh or make mistakes, that's the point. Practice should be fun. Daniel's online club became a family. People from different villages joined, even from other countries. Some members shared how learning English helped them get better jobs, talk to travelers, or make new friends. Every success story made Daniel smile wider. But life isn't always easy, right? One day, Daniel's internet connection broke for almost 2 weeks. He couldn't host his sessions, and he started to feel frustrated. He thought, maybe people will forget about me. Maybe they will stop learning. But when the internet finally came back, he opened his messages and saw dozens of notes from his students. "We missed your lessons." "We kept practicing, teacher." "We didn't give up." Those messages made him emotional. He realized something deep. His effort had planted seeds in others. They didn't stop because he had inspired them to believe in themselves. And that's when Daniel understood the true meaning of never give up. It wasn't just a phrase anymore. It was a way of life. Let's practice saying it together, slowly and clearly. Never give up. One more time, never give up. Even when it's hard, never give up. Yes. Feel the power in those words. Soon, Daniel's club was invited to join a regional online event for English learners. He was nervous again. New people, bigger audience aim, but he accepted. Before his turn to speak, he whispered to himself the same 3 words that had guided him all along. Never give up. When he started talking, his voice was calm and confident. "Learning English changed my life," he said. "Not because it gave me a job or a certificate, but because it taught me patience, courage, and belief." People from different countries nodded and smiled. After the session, many of them sent him messages. "Thank you, Daniel. You inspired me to keep learning." That night, Daniel went to bed with a full heart. He looked at the stars outside his window and said softly, "I was once afraid to speak. Now my words give others hope." Learning English had become more than a dream. It had become his mission. And now, it's your mission too. You, listening to this story, have everything you need to succeed. You have your voice, your heart, and your will to learn. Don't wait for the perfect time. The perfect time is now. Repeat this with confidence. I am strong. I am improving. I will never give up on my English journey. Very good. Months had passed since Daniel started the Never Give Up English Club. The small online group had now turned into a real community. Members from different cities joined to practice English, share their goals, and motivate one another. Every week, Daniel planned creative activities, story sharing, question games, and English challenges. One day, he announced something new. This week, we'll have a story challenge. Each member will tell a short story in English about a time they didn't give up. The group got excited, but also a little scared. Some said, "My English isn't good enough," while others said, "I'm afraid I'll make mistakes." Daniel smiled and said gently, "That's the point. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to be brave." When Saturday came, Daniel started the meeting with his favorite line, "Mistakes are proof you are trying." He looked at the camera and said, "Who would like to go first?" Silence filled the room for a few seconds. Then Lena, the shy girl from before, raised her hand. "I will try," she said. Her voice trembled, but she smiled. "My story," she began slowly, "is about when I learned to ride a bicycle. I fell many times, but my father said, 'Try again.' I wanted to quit, but I didn't. Now I can ride fast and free. Just like English, I fall, but I stand up again. Everyone clapped for her. Daniel felt proud tears in his eyes. He said, "That was amazing, Lena. You spoke from your heart. That's what real English is, expressing your heart." After that, one by one, the students shared their stories. Some talked about school, others about family, some about life struggles. And while their grammar wasn't perfect, their feelings were real. That night, Daniel realized something powerful. English was not just a language, it was a bridge between hearts. Let's pause here for a moment. Repeat this with me. English connects people. English helps me share my story. English gives me confidence. Very good. Later that week, Daniel received an email from an organization that helped young people learn new skills. They had seen his club online and wanted him to give a talk about how he used English to inspire others. Daniel read the email 3 times to be sure it was real. He felt nervous, but he also felt honored. He thought, "I started with one small sentence. Now people want to hear my story." The event was scheduled for the following month. It would be in a big city. His first time traveling far from his small town. He practiced every night, reading his speech out loud, improving his pronunciation, and learning how to speak naturally. He even recorded himself and listened carefully to spot mistakes. That's a great practice for you too. When you speak English, try recording yourself. Listen to your voice, notice how you pronounce words, and see where you can improve. It may feel strange at first, but it really helps. Daniel's speech began like this. "When I first started learning English, I was afraid to speak. But I learned that fear disappears when you take action." Let's repeat that together. Fear disappears when you take action. He practiced those lines again and again until they flowed smoothly. Every night before sleeping, he whispered his speech softly, imagining himself standing confidently on the stage. The day of the event arrived. Daniel took the bus early in the morning. As he watched the sunrise from the window, he felt both excitement and nervousness. He thought of all the people who had supported him. Mr. Lewis, Sarah, Emma, and his students. "I'm not alone," he said quietly. "I carry their hopes with me." When he arrived, the hall was huge and filled with hundreds of people. His heart beat fast, but he remembered his promise. Never give up. When his name was called, Daniel walked up to the stage, took a deep breath, and smiled. He looked at the audience and began, "Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel. 2 years ago, I couldn't even introduce myself in English. Today, I'm here to share one simple message. Never give up." The audience listened closely. His voice was strong, clear, and full of emotion. He told them how he used to practice alone in front of a mirror, how he joined the English club, and how every mistake taught him something valuable. He even made the crowd laugh by saying, "Sometimes I said things that didn't make sense, but people still understood my heart." Everyone laughed warmly. He ended his speech with a message that touched every heart. When you stop believing in yourself, remember, someone out there believes in you. Keep going, keep learning, and never give up. The audience stood and clapped. Some even wiped tears from their eyes. After the event, many people came to meet him. One girl said, "I wanted to quit learning English, but your story changed my mind." Another said, "You spoke simply, but every word felt powerful." Daniel realized that you don't need perfect English to inspire people. You just need honest English, English that comes from your heart. Let's say that together. I don't need perfect English. I just need honest English. Honest English comes from my heart. Excellent. That night, Daniel sat alone in his hotel room, looking at the city lights outside the window. He felt proud but humble. He thought about his journey, from a shy learner to a confident speaker, from fear to faith, from mistakes to mastery. He whispered softly, "Thank you, English. You didn't just change my words, you changed my world." Then he opened his notebook and wrote a few lines. Dream big. Start small, but most importantly, start. Yes, that's a great reminder for all English learners. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today, even if your words are few, because every word is a step forward. Let's practice that together. Dream big. Start small. Start today. Very good. The next morning, Daniel received a message from Emma, his online friend. She had watched the event live. Her message said, Daniel, I'm so proud of you. You're not just learning English anymore, you're living it. Those words made him smile. He replied, "Thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." Emma replied, "That's what teachers do." But now you are a teacher too. Daniel stared at that message for a long moment. It felt unreal but true. His journey had come full circle. He was now doing for others what others once did for him, spreading courage, kindness, and hope through English. And that's what Never Give Up is really about. It's not just about achieving your own dreams. It's about lifting others as you rise. So, my friend, if you're listening to this story now, remember, your English journey might feel slow, but it's beautiful. When Daniel returned to his town after the big event, everyone was waiting to hear about his experience. His students clapped as he entered the hall. Lena ran to him and said, "Teacher, we watched your speech online. You were amazing." Daniel laughed shyly and said, "Thank you, but I was shaking inside." The group laughed with him. That day, he told his students everything about his trip. The city lights, the big stage, and how nervous he was before speaking. But he also told them one important thing. Confidence doesn't mean you never feel afraid. It means you don't let fear stop you. Let's say that together. Confidence doesn't mean no fear. It means I keep going even when I'm afraid. Excellent. Over the next few weeks, Daniel felt busier than ever. New learners kept joining his club. He started recording short video lessons and uploading them online. His videos were simple. Common English phrases, pronunciation practice, motivational stories. People loved them because they were real and full of heart. He would often say, "Hello everyone, my name is Daniel, and today's lesson is about courage, the courage to speak." His voice was calm, his smile warm. Viewers left comments like, "Your videos give me hope," and "I finally feel brave enough to speak English." Slowly, his YouTube channel grew. He didn't plan to become famous. He just wanted to help. But sometimes, when you do something with a pure heart, it reaches further than you imagine. One day, he received a message from a man named Carlos from Brazil. It said, "Daniel, I found your video at a time when I wanted to quit learning English. You said, 'Never give up.' And those words changed me. Now I'm learning again, thank you." Daniel read that message twice. His heart filled with joy. He realized that his words, spoken in a small room in his little town, had reached across oceans. And that's the beauty of English. It connects people from every corner of the world. Let's repeat that together. English connects the world. My words can travel anywhere. My voice matters. Wonderful. But as Daniel's channel grew, so did the pressure. More people meant more expectations. Some viewers wrote kind comments, but others criticized his accent or small grammar mistakes. The first time he read a mean comment, it hurt deeply. He felt his confidence drop. "Maybe I'm not good enough," he whispered. For a few days, he didn't record anything. He stared at his camera and felt unsure again. Have you ever felt that way? When someone's words made you doubt yourself? Then one evening, he received a voice message from Sarah, the friend who had once encouraged him when he first joined the club years ago. Her voice was warm and cheerful. "Hey, Daniel, I saw your latest video. You've come so far. Don't let a few negative voices stop you. You've helped hundreds of people. Focus on them." Her message reminded him of something he had almost forgotten: why he started. He didn't start to be perfect. He started to make a difference. He said to himself, "It's okay if my English isn't perfect. My purpose is to inspire." Repeat this with me. My English doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be full of purpose. Yes, full of purpose. Very good. The next morning, Daniel opened his notebook and wrote a sentence in big letters. "I will use my mistakes to grow stronger." He took a deep breath, turned on his camera, and recorded a new video. He spoke honestly. Sometimes people will laugh at your accent or point out your mistakes. But remember, those who laugh are not learning, and those who learn are not laughing. Keep learning. That video became his most popular one ever. Thousands of people shared it, writing comments like, "This made me cry. This gave strength. And thank you, Daniel, for reminding me not to give up." Daniel smiled. He finally understood that real strength comes not from never falling, but from always standing up again. One day, a local school invited him to speak to students about motivation. He accepted gladly. When he stood in front of the children, he asked them, "Do you know what it means to never give up?" A small boy raised his hand and said, "It means trying again even when it's hard." Daniel nodded proudly. Exactly, trying again even when it's hard. He told them the story of his own failures, the times he forgot words, the times people laughed at him, and the times he wanted to quit. "But every time I fell," he said, "I got up one more time." Let's repeat that powerful line together. Every time I fall, I will get up one more time. Excellent. After his speech, a teacher came to him and said, "Daniel, you have a gift. You not only teach English, you teach life." Those words touched his heart. He realized that English had given him something far greater than vocabulary and grammar. It had given him purpose. Later that night, he sat by the window, writing in his journal again. "I started learning English to change my life, but now I use English to change others' lives. That's the real victory." He looked up at the moon and smiled. "Maybe this is what happiness feels like," he whispered. But life always brings new challenges, doesn't it? One morning, Daniel received a call from his mother. She told him his father had fallen ill and needed treatment in another city. The hospital bills were high, and Daniel had to take on extra work. He felt worried, tired, and stressed. For a few weeks, he didn't have time to record videos or teach. He worked long hours to help his family. Some nights he felt like quitting everything. "Maybe I can't continue my English work," he thought sadly. But then he remembered the faces of his students, the people who believed in him, and all the times he had said, "Never give up." He looked in the mirror and said, "Daniel, now is your test. If you give up now, everything you've taught others will mean nothing." So even though he was exhausted, he made time, even 15 minutes a day, to practice English, to read, or to write short messages to his students encouraging them to keep learning. He told himself, "I can't stop now. I must keep the fire alive." Let's repeat this together. I will keep my fire alive. Even when I'm tired, I'll take one more step. Even when life is hard, I'll never give up. Beautiful. His father slowly recovered, and Daniel thanked God for giving him strength. He realized something important. English had not only given him confidence in language, but also resilience in life. It had trained his mind to stay positive, to focus on growth, and to never stop trying. And that's a lesson for you too. Every time you practice English, you are training not just your tongue, but your heart. You are becoming stronger, more patient, and more courageous. Repeat these lines proudly. I am stronger than before. I am patient. I will never stop learning. Yes, that's the spirit. Time passed, and Daniel's life slowly returned to normal. His father's health improved, his students continued learning, and his YouTube channel grew even more popular. But something inside Daniel had changed. He no longer wanted just to teach English. He wanted to help people believe in themselves. One morning, while he was checking his messages, he received an email from an international organization that supported young educators. The subject line, read, Invitation to speak at the Global Youth Inspiration Summit. Daniel's eyes widened. The event would take place in Singapore, his first chance to travel abroad. He read the email carefully. We've seen your work inspiring learners through your English stories. We would love for you to share your journey on our global stage. Daniel's heart began to race. Me? Speak on a world stage? He whispered. This feels impossible. For a moment, old doubts returned. His accent, his grammar, his fear of speaking in front of people from many different countries. But then he remembered his favorite sentence. Fear disappears when you take action. He smiled and said softly, All right, let's do this. For the next 2 months, Daniel prepared for the biggest event of his life. He wrote his speech carefully, practiced pronunciation, watched videos of international speakers, and learned new expressions to sound more natural. But most importantly, He practiced speaking with emotion. He knew that words from the heart could touch people more than perfect grammar ever could. He told himself, "I will not speak to impress. I will speak to inspire." Repeat that with me. I will not speak to impress. I will speak to inspire. Excellent. He practiced day and night. Sometimes he stood in front of the mirror and rehearsed every gesture, every pause, every smile. Sometimes he recorded himself and listened while walking to work. And sometimes, when he felt tired or nervous, he whispered, "Daniel, remember who you are. You are the boy who never gave up." Finally, the day arrived. He packed his small suitcase, kissed his family goodbye, and took his first flight ever. As the plane lifted off the ground, Daniel looked out the window and saw his hometown becoming smaller and smaller. Tears filled his eyes. "I never thought I'd come this far," he whispered. When he reached Singapore, everything felt new. The tall buildings, the lights, the people speaking English everywhere. At first, he felt lost, but then he smiled and thought, "This is my classroom now." On the day of the event, Daniel walked backstage and saw speakers from all over the world, confident, stylish, fluent. For a moment, he felt nervous again, but then he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. "I may not be perfect," he told himself, "but I am real." When his name was called, he walked onto the stage. The lights were bright, the hall was full, and his heart was pounding. He looked around at the audience, hundreds of young people waiting to hear his story, and began to speak. "Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel, and I come from a small town where people once thought dreams were too big. But today I stand here because of 3 simple words: never give up." The hall became silent. Every eye was on him. He continued, "When I started learning English, I couldn't speak even one full sentence. I made mistakes, I was laughed at, and I wanted to quit. But every time I fell, I told myself to stand again. And that's how I'm here today." The audience listened with full attention. Some nodded, others smiled. Daniel felt his fear slowly melt away. He spoke from his heart, about his struggles, his first English club, his YouTube channel, his father's illness, and how English had taught him strength. Not just words. Then he said something that would later be quoted everywhere. "English didn't just help me speak to people. It helped me speak to myself." Let's repeat that together. English didn't just help me speak to people. It helped me speak to myself. Powerful, isn't it? When Daniel finished his speech, the audience gave him a long standing ovation. Many people came to him afterward, teachers, students, professionals, all saying the same thing. "Your story reminded me why I started learning." A young woman from Japan said, "I used to feel shy about my accent, but now I see it's part of my identity." A man from Egypt said, "Your journey made me believe that my dreams are possible." And one student whispered, "You made me feel brave." Daniel felt overwhelmed with emotion. That night, sitting alone in his hotel room, he looked out the window at the shining city and smiled. All of this, he thought, started from one sentence saying, "Hello, my name is Daniel." Isn't that amazing? How one small step can change everything. Repeat this with me. One small step can change everything. Yes, everything begins with a single step. Back home, the entire town celebrated Daniel's success. The local newspaper wrote an article titled, "From Small Town to Global Stage, The Boy Who Never Gave Up." His students brought him flowers, and his mother cried with pride. He stood before his English club and said, "You see, dreams do come true. Not because we are lucky, but because we are persistent." Let's practice that key word, persistent. Persistent means you keep going even when it's difficult. Say it with me. I am persistent. I keep trying. I never stop. Excellent. Daniel encouraged his students to set bigger goals. "If I can stand on a world stage, you can too," he said. "Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but one day, if you keep learning." He started a new project called Voices of Hope. It was a series of online interviews with learners from different countries. Each person shared how English had changed their life. Some stories were emotional, some funny, and some truly inspiring. Daniel hosted every session with his usual warmth and said, "Remember, English is not just a subject, it's a story. Your story. His videos began reaching thousands of viewers each week. People didn't just learn vocabulary from him. They learned belief. And now, I want you to take a deep breath and think about your own journey. Maybe you started learning English for a job, for travel, or for education. But behind all of that, there's something bigger. The desire to grow, to connect, to express yourself. So tell yourself this: I am learning English not just to speak, but to grow. I am improving every day. I will never give up on my dreams. Beautiful. Daniel's story reminds us that greatness doesn't start big. It starts with one brave decision: to try, to begin, to continue. And so, as his life moved forward, Daniel kept doing what he loved: teaching, sharing, inspiring. He had no idea what the future would bring, but one thing was clear: he would never, ever stop believing, because as long as you keep going, every road leads somewhere beautiful. A year passed since Daniel spoke at the Global Youth Inspiration Summit. His story had traveled far beyond his small town. His YouTube channel reached over 1 million subscribers, and people from more than 50 countries were learning English with his stories. But fame was never his goal. His real goal was to make people believe in their ability to change. One evening, Daniel was reading through the comments on his latest video. Some messages made him smile, while others made him emotional. One said, "Daniel, I used to think I was too old to learn English, but your videos gave me courage." Another wrote, "I was about to quit my studies, but your story reminded me to keep going." He leaned back in his chair and whispered, This is why I do what I do." But even heroes have moments of doubt. Around that time, Daniel faced a new challenge. The platform changed its algorithm, and his views dropped suddenly. His income fell, and he began to feel pressure again. He started asking himself, what if people stop watching? What if my story is no longer enough? It was a familiar feeling, fear trying to come back. One night, Daniel went for a long walk. The streets were quiet, the air was cool, and the city lights reflected softly on the road. As he walked, he thought about everything he had been through, the failures, the lessons, the victories. He realized that success was not a straight road. It was full of ups and downs. He smiled and said softly, "The real test is not when things go well. The real test is when things fall apart." Let's repeat that together. The real test is not when things go well. The real test is when things fall apart. Excellent. He came home and opened his notebook, the same one he had used years ago when he first started learning English. On the first page, he had written, "Dream big. Start small. Act daily." Those words hit him deeply. He took a deep breath and wrote a new goal underneath: help others tell their story. That night, he decided to create an online course where learners from around the world could record and share their own never-give-up stories in English. He wanted to give them a platform to speak, to be heard, and to grow in confidence. Within weeks, the project went live. Hundreds of learners joined. Daniel spent hours every day listening to their recordings, correcting pronunciation, giving feedback, and cheering them on. One of the first participants was a young man from Brazil named Lucas. He spoke nervously in his video. "My dream is to work in another country. I study English every day, but sometimes I feel like giving up." Daniel replied with a message that became one of his most loved quotes. "Lucas, every word you say in English is a seed. It may take time to grow, but one day it will bloom beautifully." Let's say that together. Every word I say in English is a seed. One day, it will bloom beautifully. Perfect. As weeks passed, Daniel's online course became a global community. People from Africa, Asia, Europe, and South America shared their journeys. Some recorded songs in English, some wrote poems, and some told emotional stories about struggle and hope. Daniel listened to them all, often with tears in his eyes. One day he received a video from a young girl named Aisha in Kenya. She said, "I live in a small village. We don't have English teachers here. I learned from your videos using my old phone. I want to become a teacher like you." Her eyes sparkled with determination. Daniel smiled and replied, "Aisha, you already are a teacher because you inspire others by learning." A few days later, her message went viral. People began donating to help Aisha buy books, a laptop, and internet access. The world came together. all because one girl refused to give up. Daniel realized something profound that day. The power of a single story could change many lives. Repeat this with me. One story can change many lives. My story has power, yes. Your story does have power. Over time, Daniel was invited to collaborate with international education platforms. He started an English podcast where learners shared how they use the language to chase dreams, start businesses, or connect across cultures. The podcast became one of the top educational shows in several countries. But despite all the success, Daniel remained humble. Every evening, he still practiced his English, still wrote down new words, and still whispered his favorite sentence. Never give up, he told his students. You see, learning English is like climbing a mountain. Sometimes you walk fast, sometimes slow. Sometimes you fall, but if you keep climbing, one day you'll reach the top, and the view will be worth it. Let's practice that metaphor together. Learning English is like climbing a mountain. I may fall, but I keep climbing. The view at the top will be worth it. Wonderful. As Daniel's community grew, he started receiving invitations to schools, conferences, and online events. People wanted him to talk not just about English, but about life. He shared lessons about discipline, patience, kindness, and gratitude. He often said, learning English will open the world for you, but learning kindness will open hearts. Repeat after me. Learning English opens the world. Learning kindness opens hearts. Beautiful. One afternoon, Daniel sat in his studio recording a new video. He looked straight into the camera and said, Dear learners, I know you have hard days. I know sometimes you feel tired, lost, or frustrated. But please remember this. Every time you speak one new word, you are growing. Every time you listen, read, or repeat, your mind is expanding. You are becoming stronger, wiser, and more confident. So please don't stop. He smiled warmly and added, One day you'll look back and say, I'm proud of myself. And then he invited his audience to repeat after him, I am proud of myself. I am growing every day. I will never give up. That video became one of the most shared motivational English videos of the year. Teachers played it in classrooms. Students shared it with their friends. Parents showed it to their children. And Daniel, the boy who once doubted himself, became a symbol of hope. Still, he never forgot where it all began. A small classroom, a kind teacher, and a belief that even the smallest voice can make a big difference. Years passed. Seasons changed, and Daniel's life continued to evolve in ways he had never imagined. What began as a personal struggle to learn English had turned into a global movement that touched millions of hearts. Yet even with all the success, Daniel remained grounded, gentle, and grateful. One morning he visited the old school where he had once been a shy, quiet student who barely spoke. The building looked smaller than he remembered, but the memories were still alive in every corner. He walked through the empty classroom, ran his hand over the old wooden desks, and smiled. He could almost hear his younger self whispering, One day I'll speak English confidently. And now, that dream had come true, not just for him, but for thousands of learners who had followed his story. Daniel decided to meet his old English teacher, the one who had encouraged him when no one else believed. When he knocked on the door, she opened it slowly and stared in surprise. Daniel? She said softly, Is that you? He smiled. Yes, Miss Sarah, it's me. Her eyes filled with tears. I've watched your videos, she said. You've become such an inspiration. Daniel laughed humbly. Everything I do, I learned from you, he replied. You taught me that mistakes are part of the journey, and that's what I teach my students now. They sat together and talked for hours. Miss Sarah shared stories of her new students who were learning English through Daniel's videos. You see, Daniel, she said, when you teach with heart, your lessons never end. They continue through others. Daniel nodded, deeply moved. You're right, he said softly. Teaching is not about words. It's about love. Let's say that together. Teaching is not about words. It's about love. Perfect. That afternoon, Daniel walked out of the school and sat under the same big tree where he used to study years ago. The sun was warm, the wind was gentle, and everything felt peaceful. He opened his journal, the same one that had carried his dreams for so long, and began to write his final reflection. When you start something new, you may feel scared, But every expert was once a beginner. Every confident speaker once said their first nervous word. And every great story begins with a simple sentence. I will try. He paused, smiled, and continued writing. To anyone who is learning English, I want to say this. Don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. If you can say one more word, understand one more sentence, or express one more thought, that's progress. That's victory. Now repeat that last part with me. If I can say one more word, that's progress. If I can understand one more sentence, that's victory. Excellent. Daniel wanted his learners to see that English was not just a language. It was a bridge. A bridge between cultures, between dreams and reality, between people and possibilities. So he recorded one final message for his audience, a video that would become his most loved and replayed video of all time. He looked straight into the camera with a soft smile and said, My dear friends, today I don't want to teach you grammar or pronunciation. I just want to remind you that your journey matters. Maybe you're learning English alone in your room. Maybe you've failed exams. Maybe people have laughed at your accent. But none of that defines you. What defines you is your courage to keep going. He paused, then continued with emotion. When I started, I thought English was just about words. But I discovered it's about connection. It connects hearts. It opens minds. It gives you a new way to see the world. So whenever you feel like giving up, remember, you are not just learning English. You are learning resilience. You are learning hope. You are learning how to believe. Let's practice that together. I am learning resilience. I am learning hope. I am learning how to believe. Wonderful. In the video, Daniel then invited everyone to join him in a simple exercise, a promise to themselves. He said, place your hand on your heart and say this with me. I will never give up. I will keep learning. I will trust myself. I will grow stronger every day. I will become the person I dream to be. Take a moment now and say it too. Feel the power of those words. Daniel finished his video with a smile. Thank you for learning with me, he said. Remember, English is not just a subject. It's a journey, and you are doing great. Don't stop now. The world is waiting to hear your voice. When the video was uploaded, it went viral instantly. People shared it with the hashtag #NeverGiveUpChallenge, posting their own English learning stories from every corner of the world. Some spoke from small villages, some from big cities, and some from quiet rooms where no one had ever heard their voices before. But now the world was listening. Daniel sat in his studio, watching the flood of messages and videos, smiling faces, brave voices, and hopeful words. This is what it means to teach, he thought. This is what it means to never give up. Months later, a young student named May from China wrote to him, saying, I was afraid to speak English, but because of your story, I gave my first English presentation today. A man from Turkey shared, I watched your video every morning before work. It reminded me to start my day with hope. And a mother from India wrote, My children repeat your affirmations every night. You have become a part of our family. Each message was like a light, a small flame spreading across the world. Daniel realized that the phrase never give up had become more than just motivation. It had become a language of hope that every learner understood, no matter where they came from. One evening he sat by his window watching the stars. He whispered softly, This was never about fame. It was about faith. He smiled and said one last time, To everyone learning English, you are stronger than you think, smarter than you believe, and more capable than you imagine. Keep going, and one day you'll look back and realize how far you've come. Now let's finish this journey together. Repeat after me. I am strong. I am capable. I am becoming fluent. I am never giving up. Beautiful. And with that, Daniel closed his journal, took a deep breath, and looked up at the night sky. The stars above seemed to whisper the same words he had lived by all his life, words that echo in every learner's heart, across every country and every dream. Never give up.